Manchester United confirm plans for Mason Mount return and get Kobbie Mainoo boost. Mason Mount could make his latest comeback for Man United this weekend, while there is more positive news on the injury front. Ruben Amorim gushed about the returning Mason Mount, dubbing the injury-prone Manchester United midfielder perfect. Mount could make his first appearance since December 15th on Sunday against Leicester City, where he is set to be named on the bench. The 26-year-old has played in 33 United games out of a possible 97 since he signed from Chelsea for £55 million, rising to £60 million in July 2023. United bought Mount as a central midfielder, even though he is best known as a playmaker, and the United number 7 could have a key role in Amorim's 3-4-2-1 setup as one of the two playmakers behind the striker. Mount started there in Chelsea's Champions League final victory over Manchester City in 2021, and he occupied the same role for England in the European Championship less than 2 months later. "I really love Mason Mount," Amorim enthused. "I see him and know how he suffered. I know how he does everything right, he eats right, his physical aspect is perfect. He's trying too much. Maybe he is thinking too much about everything. He was European champion. He is a talent. When a player does everything like he does, he will always have the support of everybody here at the club. We will try to manage the load." You saw players who had a lot of problems in time, but they can then stay fit, and I believe a lot in Mason Mount. We need players like Mason Mount. I think he will be on the bench. We will see. We need him and every player. If he is fit, I will take him. He cannot play too many minutes, but just 5 minutes of Mason Mount is perfect. United will assess Harry Maguire before deciding whether to name him in their squad against his former club this weekend. Maguire has missed the last 3 matches after coming off before extra time against Fulham in the FA Cup quarter-final. Kobbie Mainoo could make his comeback from a 2-month layoff against Nottingham Forest on April 1st. Casemiro was substituted in the 79th minute against Real Sociedad on Thursday evening after starting 3 games within a week. The 33-year-old, who received a standing ovation upon his removal, could keep his place even with the availability of fellow defensive midfielder Manuel Ugarte. "With different competitions, we have to rotate because we are risking a little bit," Amorim explained. "For example, Casemiro was so tired. We didn't want to risk Ugarte because today, Thursday, it was a decision in one competition, and Ugarte wanted to stay on the bench." Mason Mount is going to return really slowly. Kobbie maybe will return in a few weeks, I am not sure. Harry Maguire we tried not to risk. We will see for Sunday. We need all the players. Against Lyon, in the Europa League quarter-finals, it is going to be a different type of game. The physicality is going to be more demanding in that aspect, and we have a lot of difficult games in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes scored a hat-trick in the 4-1 win against Sociedad to take his tally for the season to 15 goals, his joint second-best haul for United. The Portuguese was lambasted by Roy Keane in a peculiar diatribe earlier this month, and Fernandes has since scored 5 of United's last 7 goals. Amorim feels some of the former United players turned pundits lack context. He, Fernandes, is so important for this team, and you can see from the numbers and the last games he is always the guy who scores, he added. It is not the most important thing or the only thing, but he is always there. When you play for this team, you have to be prepared for the critics, and I understand that former players had a lot of success here, and the standards for them were so high. They see things like that in black and white. Life is sometimes not black and white. There are other colours, and you have to understand that context. He, Fernandes, is always there, trying his best. I am really proud to coach a player like him. Meanwhile, in other news, Manchester United reveal new Old Trafford images for 100,000-seater stadium. Old Trafford has been Man United's home since 1910, but plans are underway for a new-build stadium on the same site. Manchester United have launched plans for a new 100,000-seater stadium at Old Trafford. Co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe confirmed upon the completion of his minority stake last February that his preference was for a new build to replace the 115-year-old home of United on the same site. Conceptual images and scaled models designed by the architect Lord Norman Foster were unveiled on Tuesday at Foster & Partners headquarters in London. The Manchester Evening News previously reported that club figures estimate the cost of a new stadium to be £2 billion. United have lost £300 million in the past 3 years, and they are in danger of breaching the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rules. But Ratcliffe believes a new stadium is financeable under the government's plans to regenerate the Trafford Park area, which has already received backing from Chancellor Rachel Reeves. It is estimated that the stadium and wider regeneration project has the potential to deliver an additional £7.3 billion per year to the UK economy. United have acquired land around the stadium to expand the footprint if or when they get permission to commence construction. United own 100 acres. The club surveyed 30,000 fans, and there was roughly a 50-50 split between those in favour of a new build and a redevelopment of Old Trafford. Ratcliffe, 72, has previously described Old Trafford as run down and opined that it had fallen behind the best arenas in world sport. Today marks the start of an incredibly exciting journey to the delivery of what will be the world's greatest football stadium at the centre of a regenerated Old Trafford, he said. Our current stadium has served us brilliantly for the past 115 years, but it has fallen behind the best arenas in world sport. By building next to the existing site, we will be able to preserve the essence of Old Trafford, while creating a truly state-of-the-art stadium that transforms the fan experience only footsteps from our historic home. Just as important is the opportunity for a new stadium to be the catalyst for social and economic renewal of the Old Trafford area, creating jobs and investment not just during the construction phase, but on a lasting basis when the stadium district is complete. The government has identified infrastructure investment as a strategic priority, particularly in the north of England, and we are proud to be supporting that mission with this project of national as well as local significance. Lord Foster, a Mancunian and a United fan, said designing a new Old Trafford is one of the most exciting projects in the world today, and build the area as a mixed-use miniature city of the future. It all starts with the fans' experience, bringing them closer than ever to the pitch and acoustically cultivating a huge roar. The stadium is contained by a vast umbrella, harvesting energy and rainwater, and sheltering a new public plaza that is twice the size of Trafalgar Square. The outward-looking stadium will be the beating heart of a new sustainable district, which is completely walkable, served by public transport, and endowed by nature. It is a mixed-use miniature city of the future, driving a new wave of growth and creating a global destination that Mancunians can be proud of. Sir Alex Ferguson, whose £2.1 million a year ambassadorial arrangement will end at the end of this season, also threw his backing behind the project. Manchester United should always strive for the best in everything it does, on and off the pitch, and that includes the stadium we play in. Old Trafford holds so many special memories for me personally, but we must be brave and seize this opportunity to build a new home, fit for the future, where new history can be made. Meanwhile, in other news, Manchester United want to sign one of the best midfielders in the world. Manchester United are eyeing a summer move to sign Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubimendi for Ruben Amorim, GIVME Sports sources have been informed. The Red Devils are expected to oversee a major squad overhaul this summer as Ineos hope to rebuild the squad in the image of their new manager, despite the struggles he has had since taking charge in November. Financial constraints at Old Trafford mean they must look for value deals in the market, and one player who is now emerging as a target is Spain international Zubimendi. Spain international has a £51 million release clause. GIVME Sports sources can confirm that while Manuel Ugarte has established himself as a key performer under Amorim, Manchester United are still looking to add more legs to the squad during the summer window. Casemiro and Christian Eriksen are expected to be moved on this summer, with the manager admitting they don't provide the dynamic energy required, while there are reservations about using Kobbie Mainoo in the deeper midfield role, as he doesn't have the pace or stamina to perform there, and is more effective further up the pitch. A new striker is seen as the priority at Old Trafford due to Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee's struggles this season, but a central midfielder is also high up on the list, and Manchester United are expected to take a close look at Zubimendi when they face Real Sociedad in the Europa League last 16 clash this week. The Spaniard has been described as one of the best midfielders in the world by his national team boss, and rejected a move to Liverpool last summer in order to stay with his boyhood club. But a deal is expected to happen this summer, and a move to the Premier League seems like the most likely destination. Zubimendi has a release clause worth £51 million, which represents fantastic value in a market where Ineos are tightening the purse strings. Reports from elsewhere have suggested that a move to Arsenal is extremely likely, but with Manchester United entering the race, it remains to be seen if they can convince him to move up north instead. Meanwhile, in other news, Rio Ferdinand gives three-word Ruben Amorim sack verdict amid Man United crisis. Ruben Amorim is under huge pressure at Manchester United after an awful run of form, and he has been told whether he will keep his job after Sunday's defeat against Tottenham in North London. Rio Ferdinand has urged Manchester United to stick with Ruben Amorim despite the club's current crisis. The Red Devils are embroiled in an awful run of form under their Portuguese coach. Sunday's 1-0 defeat to Tottenham leaves them sitting a lowly 15th in the Premier League, with things having barely improved since Amorim replaced Erik ten Hag. And while some have suggested that another change in manager would benefit United, Ferdinand is not convinced and believes Amorim should be given time to turn the ship around. Asked on Twitter if he would sack Amorim, Ferdinand replied, "No, coach stays." Ferdinand's assessment comes just a day after the Portuguese coach had spoken out on his position at Old Trafford. He insisted that he did not have any fears of the sack, but did admit that he was finding the job difficult. Speaking after the defeat to Tottenham, Amorim said, "I have a lot of problems. My job is so hard here. But I stick with my beliefs. We just need to face it and not run away. That is my feeling. I am not worried. I understand our fans, what the media think about it. I hate to lose. That feeling is the worst. It's hard to face the fans in this moment. But we are doing everything. I'm doing everything. The rest I am not thinking about. I am here to help my players. I understand my situation, my job. I am confident in my work, and I just want to win games. The place in the table is my worry. I am not worried about me." Amorim signed a contract at Old Trafford until the end of the 2026/27 season, with the option of a further campaign. And worryingly, Jamie Redknapp believes that United could be in for more adverse results across the duration of that deal. Speaking on Sky Sports, he said, "I see Man United as having still much more pain, even 18 months more pain, because they need to get rid. Whoever's been in charge or even managers have gone so far, and then they're panicked, and then they've gone and bought 30-year-old players that aren't going to maybe take the club any further forward. I think now they have to take their time. They're trying to get..." Jermaine Defoe mentioned getting best in class. People like Jason Wilcox, they've got the guy from Manchester City, the CEO there. They're trying to do things slowly, and I think that's how they have to do it. AI supercomputer predicts struggling Man United's final Premier League position after defeat by Tottenham dragged them closer to relegation, and reveals the 5 teams who will qualify for the Champions League. Look away, Manchester United fans. Your worst ever season in Premier League history is not going to get much better. The Red Devils' disastrous campaign took another downward spiral on Sunday, with a 1-0 defeat at beleaguered Tottenham. James Maddison's early first-half tap-in proved the difference between two poor sides to alleviate the pressure slightly on Spurs and increase it on their beaten opponents. The result sees United languish in 15th in the table on 29 points after 25 games. A whopping 31 points behind bitter rivals and league leaders Liverpool. It's fair to say Ruben Amorim's side may have to look over their shoulders too, with the 13-time Premier League winners only 12 points above the relegation zone. Opta's AI supercomputer has predicted how the rest of the 2024-25 term will play out, and it is not for pleasant reading for the Old Trafford outfit. By their calculations, United's best finish this season will be 14th, with the supercomputer giving them a 19% likelihood of that happening. As aforementioned, they currently sit 15th, and they have a 17.9% chance to remain there come the conclusion of this campaign on May 25th. Their third likeliest position is a 13th place finish, which garners a 17.3%, finishing 12th, 13.2%, and 16th, 12.1%. Round out their top 5 predicted positions. It should come as no surprise that they have a 0% chance of winning the title or finishing in the top 5, which is likely to secure Champions League qualification for next term. They have 0.1% chance to qualify for the Europa League with a 6th place finish, and 0.2% in 7th, which typically seals a Europa Conference League berth. A top 10 finish has a low percentile too at just 5.5%. If there is some small crumb of comfort for supporters, though, they have just a 0.1% chance of being relegated, and that's with an 18th place finish. Of the teams below them, Southampton have a 93 percentile to finish bottom. Leicester City are at 48.7% to finish 19th, and Ipswich Town are 44.9% to be 18th. The one prediction that will hurt the Old Trafford supporters, though, is that the supercomputer predicts Liverpool have an 85.8% likelihood to win the Premier League and equal their record of 20 English top-flight titles. Arsenal are expected to finish as runners-up for a third straight season, with the supercomputer giving them an 80.8% chance of coming second. They have a 14.1% chance of taking the title from Liverpool. Only one other team have any chance of winning the title, and that's Manchester City. The holders have just a 0.1% chance to make it 5 times in a row, though. Pep Guardiola's side are predicted to finish third, though, where they have a 53.2 percentile to do so. Nottingham Forest, who have been excellent this season, can expect Champions League football in 2025-26, with the club back to finish 4th at 22.9%. Rounding out the top 5 is Chelsea with a 21.6 percentile, just 0.2% higher than Bournemouth. The Cherries are the favourites to finish 6th at 20.6%, with Newcastle set for a 7th place position at 22.5%. Subscribe for more inside updates.